Hey, what's up, everybody? It is DEFCON TCG, aka Hector, and I'm here with the updated Bunny Box list that everyone's been really excited to see. And this is kind of where I've gotten to after a bunch of games of playing with the deck. Now, this is a little bit different from the traditional version because I think the traditional version is a little bit slower with the copies of Bidoof, but I wanted to play something a little bit more quick. I enjoy being able to, take those early leads if we're able to. This deck can kind of just curb stomp your opponent if they don't set up a good defense right away or aren't able to like Iono you early if you don't set a Pidgeot. So this list is really cool. I'm a big fan of like the Fan Rotom giving you the early aggression. If not, you can always just go into Klefki and sit on it. There's a lot of ways you can play this deck. You have like a defensive option with like Klefki plus set up a bunch of Dusknoirs. You have a very offensive option with like Rotom set up Pidgeot, bench Buneary off the Fan Rotom. And then it is nice too also that the Fan Rotom can help free up Buddy Poffin. So if you open Buddy Poff, you can go like Buddy Poffin for Fan Rotom Duskull and then Fan Rotom for like Buneary, Pidgey, Ditto, or if you have one of those options already, you can always, stretch for the Pidgeotto or a second copy of Buneary. So it kind of gives you either like extra Ultra Ball fodder in your hand or the Ditto can kind of just become whatever you want. A lot of games I would just retreat into my Ditto and then use Ditto's transformative start to turn into Kangaskhan, and then it gives you a couple of extra draws as well. Some funny cards in this list. I mean, obviously the first thing is the Pidgeot. I think Pidgeot is absurdly broken in this deck. I think that in like the mid to late game, you almost always need this card in play, or else the deck is a little bit worse. It's hard to fit more than just the 101 copy. I think if I were to maybe make it a 212, I would consider cutting maybe one copy of Kangaskhan, and then the second card is a lot harder. I think maybe you're looking at a second copy or the fourth copy of Buddy Poff, and I think you're probably just fine. You have so many outs to basic Pokemon in this deck with the 3 Poff and 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Nest Ball. Then you still have like the natural good leads of Ditto and Kangaskhan and Fan Rotom. So I think maybe it's a little bit greedy, but I think it could be done. Looking at the deck, there's some funny stuff in the supporter counts, I think. So Lillie's is the best supporter in this deck. It helps you just draw into all the stuff you need turn 1. As long as you find one item card, you're kind of just good to go. As far as like a ball search card. So the Lillie's determined. If you whiff one of the ball cards off Lillie's, like it's just a rough day because there's so many things you can draw. You have the 2 Kangaskhan, the Fan Rotom, the Ditto, all the good stuff. So go ahead, supporter count. I know most lists that you're used to seeing are going to be playing 3 to 4 copies of Hilda, but I felt that while playing this deck, Ciphermaniac just kind of gets me whatever I want. When you combine that with the Kangaskhan, it helps you set up the Pidgeot a little bit easier, and then that kind of just does whatever you want it to do. So you can use your Pidgeot as a Kieran after kind of setting up. So what's really nice too is you can use the Codebreaker to kind of future-proof you for like later turns. So if like, okay, next turn I'm gonna need a Jet Energy for sure, and maybe my opponent is playing like Guardy, so they're gonna overload a Drifloon, so I need a Jamming Tower. So I'm gonna put Jamming Tower, Jet Energy on the top of my deck, and Judge is seeing 0 play at the moment, so there's almost no chance you're getting judged. And then Iono, you just draw right into the cards that you put Breaker into the top. So it's been really nice in this build specifically. I think if you weren't playing Pidgeot, Hilda is probably correct, but with the Pidgeot, I really am enjoying the versatility that Codebreaker brings. But I still do have that one copy of Hilda in the deck, because sometimes you just want that evolution and the energy card. So sometimes you're just not able to get into the Kangaskhan EX reliably, because either maybe you're under item lock, or you didn't get into the active turn 1. So it can be a little bit awkward to get there sometimes. And then the Kieran is also really good. So Kieran has a ton of uses in this deck. One of the big ones is you can use your Bloodmoon Ursaluna to knock out opposing Ursaluna with the combination of Mega Lopunny plus the Curse Blast on Dusknoir. You're doing enough damage so that 130 plus 230 is going to be 360, plus the Kieran is going to be 390. So then you're able to knock out Cape Zoroark, which is pretty huge because that's a Pokemon you cannot chip into ever, or else you automatically lose the game. Also with Pidgeot, you do 120 plus 130 is 150, or is 250, plus the Kieran is 280, so your Pidgeot can knock out opposing Pidgeot, which is pretty hilarious. You can also clean up things like, so let's say your Mega Lopunny hits into a Dragapult for 230. Next turn you can go Fan Rotom Kieran for 100. Now that's 330, So now you have knockout onto, you know, random VMAXs, which is pretty cool. Or not VMAXs, EXs. I'm thinking of VMAXs. They have so much HP. But yeah, so it's really cool. I've been a really big fan of this deck. I think all of the counts are just where they need to be. I think the only greedy count in this deck is maybe the 3 rare candy, but a lot of the times you have so much pressure into your opponent that you can kind of evolve one Duskull line naturally, and then the other one is where you just kind of rare candy once. So obviously you're saving 1 rare candy for Pidgeot, but then if you prize the Pidgeot, you can kind of just use all the rare candies and go crazy with the Dusknoirs. So we're going to get into the locals gameplay video, so I will post the paste bin for this deck list in the description down below. So just let me know what you guys think of it, and if you tried it out, what are some improvements that you think we can make. I really do believe in this archetype, so, you know, bunny to the moon.
Since I've played in person.
Do you want heads or tails, man?
Heads.
My head was like Nest Ball, Buddy Poffin.
Alright, I'm going to go second.
Alright.
Knowledge that works.
Buddy-Buddy.
Alright, so we have round 1 of the TGS locals, and I'm actually against Alakazam. So Alakazam is kind of a scary matchup for this deck, I think, actually, because they have an unlimited damage cap, so eventually they're able to knock out your Lopunny in 1 hit, which is really bad. And then there are a bunch of 1-prizers. The upside is that most of their basics have a pretty low amount of HP. So if you're able to kind of just gnaw down a bunch of their Abras and then kind of stick Ionos, then it's going to limit their hand size. You can't really do anything about the Dunsparces because they have kind of an awkward amount of HP. And I think you just kind of want to get rid of as many Abras as possible. And that's what I'm going to aim to do here. My opponent takes a long turn here in the fact that, like, this deck requires a lot of setup. So, you know, he's going to get a bunch of Dunsparces down, a bunch of Abras down. I don't know if he commits attachment here yet, but we have, you know, these multiple copies of Great Ball to be able to use, multiple copies of Buddy Poffin. So he's going to just want to draw a bunch of cards. So I'm going to skip through the rest of this turn so we're able to kind of get into my turn.
Draw. Start Artisan.
Ready?
Okay.
You got one?
Yeah, I got one. We big Sean.
Alright, so I'm going to start off with using a copy of my opponent's Artisan here, which is super nice because we are a Fan Rotom deck, so being able to get a free out into Artisan is going to give us a ton of advantage. So Fan Rotom's going to be looking through my deck. I'm checking for, you know, do I have Bunearies? Do I have my Pidgeot line, which is huge? Looks like I opened the Pidgeot in my opening hand, which is really nice. So I'm going to get Buneary, Pidgey, and I'm looking at Ditto as well. So that means hopefully I'm able to get an out to retreat into Kangaskhan. More than likely. If not, I can also use the Ditto later as kind of fodder for Ultra Ball. So yeah, I bench the Buneary, bench the Pidgey, which are all very nice. And I do have the Buddy Poff. This guy I was talking about earlier is that if you have that Buddy Poffin in hand, you can Buddy Poffin for Fan Rotom and the Duskull, and it kind of just like lets you get this full board. So because I got double Duskull into play, I'm just going to assume here that I did not have an out to retreat. Otherwise, I probably would have tried to get a Kangaskhan into play.
I'll put Jet Energy on the Fan Rotom, and then I'll Salt Lane for knockout. Jeez! I didn't know you were playing a Fan Rotom deck.
Draw.
Dude, Fan Rotom's so good in this deck. No one plays it for some reason. Johnny, can you play faster?
Oh, don't worry.
Fuck, we've been playing this deck for 5 years.
Have you heard of prize checking?
What are you gonna do that for?
Dude, Gage has never price checked before.
No.
Gage doesn't know what that
Dog,
is.
they're either in your deck or they're not. You'll find out when you play the card.
Honestly, that's the most Chad take I've ever heard. That's a very Chad take. I like it.
Alright, now we're going to move into turn 2 with the Alakazam. My opponent opens with the Dunsparce, and he was about to shuffle that Dunsparce into the deck before drawing. I said, no, dog, you got to draw before. That's my opponent's first time playing in paper in a while. I think this is the first time he's been to a local in a minute. So you kind of see some of his cards kind of look funny. He has some proxies for like his Dunsparces and some Kadabras and stuff. But usually at TGS, as long as you have pretty good proxies, we don't really mind. We just kind of want people to play Pokemon. And so we have the Enriching Energy coming down on the Dunsparce. That one is actually not proxy. Shout out to my opponent. But actually, after this round, I was able to go into the bulk bin that we have at TGS and just kind of look through it. And we're actually able to get like 90% of his deck unproxied. We're able to find like all the Abras, Kadabras, a couple Dunsparces, a couple of supporter cards. The only thing is, Hildas are gold, man. I don't know. I can never find any Hildas. So, yeah, if you guys have Hildas for your pre-release kits, just hold on to them, man, because those things are always impossible to find. And we're just going to kind of see him draw through like a good chunk of his deck here. The Alakazam deck kind of needs a couple turns to set up. We see the EXP share come down here as well, which is really nice for us because we do have those copies of Jamming Tower in our deck to be able to kind of just circumvent this EXP share from getting that energy attachment for free. Yeah, as you can see, like, yeah, I was able to find my opponents on Wonder Patches too. So, you know, it makes you not have to play EXP share because EXP share is not the best card ever. So, yeah, I'm just going to skip through a good chunk of his turn here. We can kind of see where he ends up. And a pretty cool play from my opponent here that they do is that this Abra has the teleportation attack, I think it's called. Teleportation burst, something like that. And it does 10 damage. It's going to switch this Abra to the bench. And he knows that my Fan Rotom can only do 70 damage currently. So if he switches into one of these 80 HP Kadabras, then, you know, it's going to prevent me from getting a knockout, which is pretty big for him. So we're going to see that. Yep, 10 damage.
For you.
Oh,
Bring him.
I know, I'm so helpful and inspirational.
oh, you're the best, John.
I know.
I'm fucking telling
You
you.
hear that, Dan?
I heard it, bro. Loud and clear.
I hate
Ultra Ball.
Okay. Draw 3.
This is how Chim Pao players felt like a year and a half ago versus me.
Counter? Yeah, no.
I'm gonna Curse Blast Abra. Take prize.
All right, so going into the second turn, it's a pretty slow turn for me, I would say. My goal here is to kind of just get rid of my opponent's Abra so that I'm able to kind of just simplify the game a bunch and my opponent's not able to draw as many cards. My hand is kind of dead here as well. I think a common theme of this day was I would open like double Night Stretcher like every game, which is pretty unfortunate. But, you know, I'm able to use my 2 Duskulls to knock out my opponent's 2 Abras, which takes me down to 3 prizes. And then I have now the Quick Search, or not the Quick Search, the Buddy Poffin for the final copy of Duskull. So I do have those Night Stretchers in hand to be able to reuse Dusclops. But obviously right now I want to get to Dusknoir. Unfortunately for me as well, like I don't really have any super crazy play here, so I'm kind of just hoping this Fan Rotom is going to get KO'd next turn, so maybe I can hopefully draw into something like a Pidgeot. And so I'm just going to hit this Kadabra for 70 damage, but thankfully for me, Alakazam does have 140 HP, so if my opponent does whiff the knockout, I can just kind of take this knockout with Fan Rotom. And then, yeah, I'm going to evolve to Mega Lopunny here. I just, if I top the Iono, I want to have him ready to go. So, boom, 70 damage onto the Kadabra, and then move back to my opponent's turn.
Don't.
Pretty good.
Just let it all fly. No, I don't.
Alakazam. It's like a draw.
That would be criminal.
Alright, we go back into the Alakazam player's turn. Looks like they have a pretty beefy hand that's kind of started this turn out with already. They evolve into Alakazam. They get the energy attachment down. And we kind of just gonna... Oh, this is a frame by frame. I don't know why it doesn't skip 10 seconds. Okay. So we can kind of see our opponent. Yeah, they're going to evolve into double Alakazam, which is pretty scary. Get a couple Dunsparce draws here. And then they're going to bench a Togepi here, which is kind of interesting to me. I think that they were thinking, oh, maybe if I'm able to take one more knockout, then I can win with the Togepi ability, or the Togetic ability. Togekiss, whichever the big one is, you know what I'm talking about. But because I do have the Duskull down, I am threatening knockout into this Togepi in a 1-for-1, and then I would go to 2, and then I believe my opponent would go to 3. So definitely an awkward scenario for my opponent to be in here. I think if they just don't bench just take knockout and Fan Rotom, I'm forced to go to 2 prizes after this, and then my opponent I think would go to 3 prizes. and then their goal is kind of just to one-shot the Lopunny. I think maybe they were thinking maybe they can go for Counter Catcher onto the Fezandipiti, KO that with Alakazam, and flip heads for game. But I don't really agree with the benching of this Togepi. I think that my opponent probably had a way higher chance of winning this game if they just didn't bench it at all. But we'll go through it. You know, boom, boom, boom. And then, yeah, the Fan Rotom gets KO'd here by the Alakazam because they have a billion cards in hand, and Fan Rotom has like 2 HP. All right, now moving back into my turn here. I have a pretty awkward setup here. I need to be able to get this Kangaskhan into the active that I drew off of this Fezandipiti. So I'm looking at Night Stretching for the Dusclops and then promoting this Kangaskhan. I kind of need to get a good rip here. I have a ton of good top decks here. You know, I can always draw something like Rare Candy. I could always draw Iono. I could always draw another energy card. So there's a lot of good stuff that can go for me here. So yeah, I'm going to use the Duskull, pop his Togepi, take my prize card, go down to 2. And I want to say I rip Rare Candy here. If not, I think I rip... I forgot what it is. I think it is Rare Candy here off of the Kangaskhan, which is... You know, boom, there's the Rare Candy, and I don't remember what the other blank is, but I think I just slammed that. Yep, bang, into the big Pidgeot. And now I have 2 options here. My opponent has 400 cards in hand, so there's a good chance that I'm going to want to just Iono them out of that hand and then just put up like a beefy guy to attack with. My thought here is, too, is my opponent's at 3 prizes, so if I'm able to attack with Fan Rotom, that is pretty good. But I think I just end up promoting the Pidgeot here, because I don't want to get my guy knocked out, which I think this is a slight misplay here, actually. I think what I should have done is, because I had the second copy of Night Stretcher in my hand, I should have probably Night Stretchered for the Fan Rotom and not committed the retreat yet, because if I search Iono here, and if I'm able to draw a Jet Energy off of the Iono, I can take a knockout into Alakazam, which is pretty good. Yeah, we'll see. I think we see jamming Iono here. Okay, yeah, so okay, I guess it doesn't really matter because I can always attach the Jet to the Fan Rotom anyway. So, I mean, maybe that's my mindset at the time, but I think just to kind of do a completely proper sequencing, it's probably better to just not commit the retreat yet. And I think I draw like Latias, Kangaskhan, which is pretty mid. So, yeah, I just passed it back over to my opponent, and I'm kind of going, well, I don't think you could knock out this Pidgeot in 1 hit, which, spoiler alert, he does not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Powerful hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 189.
I got the ball.
In this case.
Yep, sorry.
I will steal it.
Run Aaron.
That's not, I didn't know.
Probably if I took your fucking lens cap off, huh?
Nope. Those are your recording. I have a lens cap on.
Yeah, that's my little thing.
Oh god, please get the fucking mulligan.
Where's a hand?
Playing with spice today. Sick.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in playing something. I'm all again. I want to play some WoW.
All right, so 1-0 going into round 2, and my opponent is Flying Udike Colin, probably best known for just being a really good Mew player, and he's dipping his toes into playing Gardevoir. He didn't have the most fantastic finish at the Vegas Regional with Goldango, and I feel like he wanted to kind of just branch out and play different decks, and we're telling him, like, listen, man, just play Guardy. It's the best deck ever, so, you know what I mean? Just do your thing, man. So my opponent's going to open Artisan here, which is awesome for me because my hand is a brick. My hand is terrible. And so being having those copies of Fan Rotom in the deck are going to help a lot. My opponent's just going to go attach to Monkey, bench a Ralts off the Artisan, and pass.
My hand is buds, boy.
What are these parents playing against Gardevoir?
Bank call.
Dude, if you saw this game,
Sure.
Yeah, boy.
Wow, wow. I don't know what that card is, but I play on the bottom.
Big bang bang.
Bang, bang, bang.
Bang, 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 bang.
What?
Yo, if I rip this moss off of this Kangaskhan, you're good, buddy.
Flip him over. Push him.
I think I still go back.
What a wong! What a wong!
Knock out Ralts.
Alright, I got an absolutely disgusting turn 1 of Fan Rotom into Jet Energy, Boss Kill, Load, and Ralts, so it's going to prevent my opponent here from getting a Kirlia turn 2. But we see a pretty solid Iono on my opponent's part. It's going to be able to grab them the Ralts out of the discard, and then another copy of Ralts out of the deck with Artisan. So, I show my hand is absolutely gas. I get the turn 2 Rare Candy Pidgeot with Codebreakers to just get whatever I want, and then if I really wanted to, I could just like Lillie to see if I can just, refill my hand, which I think there's an argument for both. Saving Ciphers for the late game is good because it gets you whatever you want, but kind of the same thing with Lilies. Like, saving it for the mid to late game is also nice when your opponent's going to be, like, Ioning you to, like, 2s and 3s like Gardevoir usually does. And, yeah, not too bad turn for my opponent here. They're going to be able to get double Ralts down.
I did not want to give you an Artisan, but my other hand was really bad.
Bro, my hand was gonna be like,
Well, actually, I had Candy Guardian in my hand, but like, it didn't matter.
pretty sure my hand was gonna be a Latias pass.
I explode soon, I know why.
Awesome.
Oh, you just
Can you go
can't.
back to that?
Sure. I love drawing any 2 cards from my deck I want. It's kind of sick.
Is that right?
Why you have racing so hard? I don't know.
Alright, so I start off my turn with retreating into my copy of Kangaskhan EX and using Ciphermaniac's Codebreaking. So priority 1 is going to be to get these Pidgeots set up, and then I can kind of use that to start getting into my bigger Duskull line. And so I think my goal here this turn is I really would like to knock out the Monkey Dory that's on the bench, because if my opponent gets double dark into play, they are able to KO my Duskull. But considering my opponent didn't have an out to, Evo TM, I just kind of assumed they had Rare Candy or the Guardian, had like some out to it, because they didn't do a ton last turn. That or their hand's just kind of dead. So, I mean, it's kind of a win-win scenario for me. They either get Rare Candy Guardian, they're not really doing anything. So, I think I settle on just KOing a Ralts here, because kind of later in the game, I'm able to go like Dusknoir plus Bear Kill Gardevoir EX, which could be pretty good. And this still keeps you on an even prize trade. What I would have maybe liked to see from Colin last turn is attaching to the Monkey Dory and then using Mind Bend onto Fan Rotom so that later my opponent would be able to use a Adrenabrain to KO Fan Rotom and then kind of maybe take a 1-prize knockout with Screamtail later onto a Duskull. Because with Gardevoir, you kind of have to make up prizes, especially with a slower start like this. So I think off the Pidgeot, I grab Prime Catcher, and I'm just going to take the knockout on this Ralts. I kind of want to just keep up the pressure. If my opponent gets to a board state of like Ralts plus Kirlia or Kirlia plus Gardevoir, it could definitely get rough for me because it's pretty impossible to kill 2 Gardevoirs, but 1 is definitely doable. Alright, so Colin's next turn is going to start here, and I think he's just going to go for the Iono here because his hand is relatively weak. So yeah, he's going to slam the Iono, and he's got 4 cards in his hand. Looks like he draws like a Jelly, Kirlia, Nest Ball. But I think the thing I disagree with here is off of Colin. Like, he has the Nest Ball for Fezandipiti, which, like, there's not a net 0 chance that you draw the Gardevoir, because he did draw the rare candy in his hand. So I think maybe because you're so far behind, going for the Fezandipiti to draw 3 there and try to rip the Gardevoir is pretty good. If you whiff, I mean, you're already still in like a poor position, but getting to the Gardevoir means that, you know, you can put 50 damage on this Fan Rotom with the Frillish plus a Adrenabrain, and then you're able to Adrenabrain it next turn and then take a knockout with the Scream Tail into something. So that's a way to maybe potentially get back into the game. And then, you know, if you clear my board of Duskulls, there's no way for me to knock out a Gardevoir in one hit, especially if this second Monkey Dory gets a Dark Energy attached to it.
That's fucked up. I told you I only made a fucking 5 energies. Or 5 items.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Sure.
Pretty nasty play here I come up with. So because I was able to get that Mist Energy attachment turn 1 onto the Pidgeot, I'm not able to get a Lopunny and a Jet Energy into my hand this turn, and because I already commit the retreat, I can't retreat back into Fan Rotom and hit this Village for 70, which is pretty bad. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to quick search for Jet Energy up the Pidgeot, and then knock out the Artisan, or knock out the Frillish and knock out the Artisan with the Blustery Wind attack, doing 120 and removing the Stadium from play. So this is a pretty sick play. This is one I was pretty proud of at the moment. So yeah, we're able to take a KO on this Frillish, keep that pressure up.
Silky Hopper for 160.
Silky Hopper, I barely know her.
Yeah, I should have scrapped the Fez. I'm stupid.
Ultra Ball? Most people are better.
I'm so bad at Ursaluna.
What's fucked up, I actually could have saved the fucking Frillish last time.
Oh, a charm.
And we see kind of the ramifications here of not getting that Fezandipiti into play, because Colin's hand is relatively dead. He has no card draw on the board, right? So he has no copies of the Mew EX or Fezandipiti or a follow-up supporter. Being able to get into that Fez would have netted him 6 cards here, which definitely made a big difference. He still has a lot of supporters in his deck, because I think he's only played like 2 Iono, so there's a good chance he rips in like a Lillie's Determination. Lillie's plus Fezandipiti is going to net you 11 cards, which is a pretty huge swing. So I'm pretty much just going to pick apart his board here. Yeah, I'm able to go boss up the Curlia here, and then I'm able to just take a knockout on that. But I think it even gets worse. I'm able to evolve into Dusclops as well. So even if my opponent does get Rare Candy Guardy on this turn, it's like, what do you even do, bro? Like, I just quick search for Duskull, or Dusknoir, and then I just kind of blow up your board. So yeah, I think we're just going to see Colin kind of scoop up his cards here. There's not really a play for him to go for here, because, yeah, Ralts, unfortunately, 70 plus 50 with the Bravery Charm is just 120. Pidgeot does that exact number, so I'm going to be able to get the W in this round 2 game.
Ready? You're going first.
Jamming Tower. I do have a couple of procs.
Oh, after?
Yep. Another Abra.
Oh, we saw it. That's why I saw it was at. Oh, because second. That's why I don't put prize on it.
You have nothing?
That's my runaway right now.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I can't hit that card.
Bro, I prized him again?
Fan?
I'm gonna try and gain you next turn.
Well, that's fucked up. That's kind of mean.
Oh, that's so bad.
Sorry. Come on.
We don't want
Attached to Abra and pass.
Oh, no.
might want to prize that just in case I can't gain you next turn.
I don't know. Why you keep telling me questions? You got the experience.
Oh boy. It's rough out here.
That's 3 Ultra Balls already gone. Whoa.
For one little guy. Pass.
It's not looking good out here, boys.
You're telling me.
You think you're not doing much? Brother, I'm doing even less.
Doesn't seem too bad.
It's like fine. It's just not.
You're not playing.
I want to do anything.
All good.
Bro, if Fan Rotom was surprised, my board would be so insane right now.
I'm going back in. Because I'm just gonna use minor errand running.
Guess what my one card is.
Is it Iono?
Wait till you grab your other energy.
Okay. Dude, Poffin an Iono? That was the fastest Poffin draw I've seen in the list.
I'm saying, dude, you gotta be quick when you're fucking drawing dick.
It's gotta be that.
It's like the fucking worst cards ever. My prices are fucking dog meat.
There you go. Dog meat, no fallout.
Not even a little bit of fallout.
Dog meat, no nuke.
It's so good at this game.
Oh my god, I might be too. We might be the best. Oh no, my poor little guy.
90%.
He's just so small.
So the 30 ready.
I'm so cooked.
It's in the deck. It's
But I can lose.
even though we don't have
I get a pretty solid bounce back turn here after my pretty bad turn of like Ultra Ball for Ditto, Ultra Ball for Buneary. That's why like Fan Rotom is so good in this deck, because it generates you so much advantage in that early game. It makes you not have to commit as many resources. But now going into my opponent's turn, they get the Nest Ball for Genocide, which is sick for me. This deck definitely preys upon bench liabilities. And so now that my opponent's got a Genocide in play, it's definitely something I'm looking to knock out. And so something interesting for my opponent here. So like, what is their goal this turn, right? Their goal is pretty much just to KO my Lopunny. And what I would have maybe liked to see here is my opponent draw cards with their Goldengos before using all of these Energy Search cards. Because obviously, if you use your Energy Search cards before drawing, you have less concentration of energy in the deck. And your goal here is just to get to 8 energy cards and just kind of blow me up, right? And so if you're thinning out 4 energy and now you only get to draw, you're drawing 3 cards off Goldengo. Like, what if you drew like 3 energy and now you have double Vessel to get to 7? So if you already had an energy in hand, like you're just taking KO here. So that's the only thing maybe I kind of disagree with here. I would have kind of liked to see the use of the Goldengos beforehand, because then if my opponent's able to get a knockout here onto Lopunny, it swings the game in their favor so hard. But spoiler alert, my opponent does not get the knockout here onto Goldengo. I think they just hit me for 200 or 250, which doesn't really matter in this deck as long as it doesn't take me down to like that third, like as long as my opponent doesn't hit me for 300, because then Soul Rock can clean me up later. It's kind of just fine. They have to commit a bunch of resources. So yeah, we see my opponent, they get rid of an energy here with the Metal Energy, which they're playing into the Superior Energy in their hand, I believe so, because, you know, if you have one energy in the discard, you discard another one, and now you're using Lunatone, then, yeah, it's going to be perfect to get those off the retrieval. My opponent does get rid of the Air Balloon here because I do have that Jamming Tower in play. I was able to slam turn 1, which is really good for me. Being able to prevent my opponent from getting that extra card. You know, it could always be the difference between us getting knocked out and not getting knocked out. My opponent draws 3 blanks here off of the Lunatone. None of those are quite useful at the moment. But, I mean, the cards you drew are pretty good fodder for Superior, so it's not like the worst thing ever. Sometimes in Goldengo, you kind of want to just draw a couple dead cards to be able to just get rid of them off of your copies of Superior. And, like, some play like that one copy of Ultra Balls, you can see that one copy of Ultra Ball is able to search that Mega Lopunny. So, yeah, I'm just going to get hit for 200 right here.
No way this guy lives. I don't even need that. We call Secret Box. That's some wild work.
2 discard.
Yep.
All right, well, my turn is pretty short here. I don't really have a ton I can do. So I look at my opponent's discard pile. They did discard their copy of Picnic Basket, and they also discarded a copy of Turo. So a huge thing in this matchup is if you hit into Goldango and then like Turo KO your bunny, like the game is just kind of over. You kind of are reliant on like a big swing turn to win the game. And so I feel pretty confident here just kind of hitting into my opponent. I think they have 2 cards in hand after discarding 4 for the Lopunny. So if they do end up using a Turo, it's a pretty low odds rip. So I'm pretty confident here with just kind of setting up a new Lopunny and then hitting into Goldango. Because I think from this point, I kind of need as many Dusknoirs as possible to win the game. So my goal here is to kind of smack into one of these Goldangos and then win the game with like double Nor plus a Gust effect on the Genesect. So if I'm able to do that, I feel pretty confident that I'm able to win. My opponent's best play for sure next turn is to like chase the damaged Lopunny. One, because it's going to take the least amount of cards to do so. All you need is Boss and a Superior, which my opponent hasn't used a Boss yet, and they still have 3 copies of Superior, plus just the amount of natural energy in the deck is going to be pretty high. So yeah, I'm just going to attack with a new copy of Lopunny.
What is it? 30?
I got rid of the Picnic Basket and it's her. Man.
That's why I went for that.
Yeah. Powerful.
There's signal. See, let's take a look what's in there. You never know what's in there.
Yeah.
Oh wait, where's my jamming?
Yeah, there it is.
I was about to say, where'd it go?
I have not bumped that. No,
Fucking ate it.
got a little hungry. Sorry, Dan.
It looks so good in Wars Game, man. So I had to do what I had to do to survive. 320 back.
Quick tap. Okay, we will.
That's the most bullshit I pulled off.
Wow. Let's go with Lunar Segment. Come on, the nuts. We're almost there. Fire the Vessel.
Ridiculous. I had 0 to start the turn.
Grass. What am I saying? I was thinking more grass, but
He's smoking grass. You heard him.
you know how we do. Right before locals, bro, I gotta get my fill in.
I had 0 Ethans in discard.
Oh wait, that's actually nice. It's really nice. These are the 200 that's at 50. Okay.
I have a ball version header.
Prime, that Lopunny.
Not the little. How much is the good looking? Well, it's the same price. Just give me that for the Gengar.
Oh wait, yeah, good point.
Yeah. You didn't know what to pay me for the Gengar.
Exactly. Good looking low
What?
No, you're,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
you're good. You're good.
I'm really out of this.
Anytime I feel like, man, I'm just not drawing, or I'm not having a, second stack going.
Attack. 3.
10 extra damage to Revolution.
All right, so yeah, my opponent gets a pretty solid turn here with the Prime Catcher into the damaged Lopunny to be able to draw an extra card with the bench Goldango. But this is the famous turn that we were kind of all talking about after my local. This is pretty disgusting. So my goal here is to win the game this turn, because if my opponent takes a knockout next turn, they probably win, because I'm forced to use a Duskull here to knock out this bench Goldango. Therefore, it's putting me down to 2 prizes, so a nice little boss kill on the Fezandipiti is just going to be game. So I have to take 5 prize cards here, which is a pretty tall order, but I do have the easy KO with my Dusclops into my opponent's Goldango. That's a 2 prize knockout. And then all I need to do, because I do have Jet Energy plus the bear in hand, my thought is, well, all I need to do is rip a rare candy for game. I have not used one yet. I still have the 3 draws off Fez, the 2 draws off of the Kangaskhan, but I actually do whiff it, and I don't really have a way to generate more advantage in my hand, but I have the full combo in my hand. I'm just like, well, I need to draw a rare candy for game. I haven't drawn one yet. I actually haven't even seen one yet. So I was like, well, what are the chances I get it off the prize card? I mean, I can get rare candy. I was really looking for the copy of Codebreaker, because then I could have used a Prime Catcher to take the KO onto the Genesect and then use the rare candy to KO the Solrock. But I sack a little bit here, admittingly. I draw the rare candy off of the prize cards, and I believe that's just game, right? I'm able to, I just look at my hand, kind of make sure I have the full combo, because I'm a little bit shocked that I was like, oh, this is just game, huh? So, yeah, I'm able to, a rare candy onto the Dusknoir, bench the Bloodmoon, jet it to the active. My opponent's had 2 prize cards, so I'm able to attack for 1 energy, counter catch, or boss up the Genesect, blow up the Solrock with the Dusknoir, and then Bloodmoon Ursaluna is going to take the knockout there for game.
First started getting into Pokemon, I fucking I forgot what deck I looked up just on YouTube, and I'm listening to the whole video, and after like 10 minutes I realized it's your fucking video.
Really?
I was like, dude, this is a sick deck list, so I started building it, and then I'm like, damn, and I realized
They're brand new.
I was like, never mind, it's not that cool.
I was about to say, yo, you had to a party before this I should be aware
No,
of?
it's actually so funny.
This voice sounds familiar.
I remember I told you once, I was like, dude, I just like copied the deck list and realized it was Dan 10 minutes into the YouTube video.
Oh, that kind of sucks to throw down. Thank God.
This hand was really good if I had a basic.
Yeah,
I
that
will
looked...
go whatever.
I just saw Buddy-Buddy and the rest.
wait a
Like,
minute.
shit, yeah, Basic fault.
Buddy-Buddy Switch is like Exodia.
Only if I had Evo. Then this hand would be gold. This hand would be
I have Mulligan 7 times today.
Your deck doesn't play that many basics.
Huh?
Your deck doesn't play that many basics.
Yeah, but not to be Mulligan.
It's like an exception. It's like some decks you kind of accept you're gonna mulligan. Like Dango kind of accepts gonna mulligan a lot.
All right, moving into turn 1 of the final round. I am 3-0, and yeah, we're going into this final round versus Ethan's Typhlosion. Johnny definitely has an eccentric build, if I had to describe it. I'm a big fan of Typhlosion. Obviously, you can tell it's channel mascot. It's my favorite Pokemon, and so Johnny, I gave him the original Typhlosion build that I thought was really good at like the start of the format. I don't think it's really changed too many cards. I never really thought about including the Moltres, but I do actually really like the inclusion of Moltres. Being able to do 110 for 1 basic fire energy is a really nice chip for Typhlosion to be able to kind of clean up later in the game pretty much any EX in the format. Because if you're doing 280 plus 110, it's a combined 390. Like, pretty much nothing in the format's going to live that. Also, just being able to do 20 damage into Badoo is pretty interesting. Badoo is weak to fire, so you're able to one-shot Badoo, which, I mean, it's already something that Cyndaquil does, but if your Cyndaquil takes 10 damage and you KO it, and your opponent's playing, like, Dragapult, they can, like, high-roll you into, like, you know, Neo upper counter catcher KO double Cyndaquil, and then the game is just kind of over. But looking at my hand, this game I do prize my Ditto, so I don't find it super necessary to get the Fan Rotom to kind of take a spot on the bench here. Especially because I did open a copy of the Buneary in my opening hand, so I'm just going to use the Buddy Poffin to grab a Pidgey and a Duskull, and then set up the Buneary, and then I'm able to slam the Lilies to draw 8 cards. So I'm looking here for like a Nest Ball or an Ultra Ball to be able to get down the Kangaskhan, because then if I start my turn with 10 cards, like, you have so much combo potential with the 6th of your deck in your hand. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, this is kind of like the ideal setup you want turn 1. I really couldn't ask for anything more than that out of like a turn 1 opening hand. So see, I draw my 8 cards, and I'm here. I'm looking for Nest Ball or just like raw Kang. I think I draw like Rare Candy. They have like Rare Candy, Lopunny, Night Stretcher, which it's a very common theme to draw multiple Night Stretchers in this deck for some reason. But I don't know, the more I play with it, the more like Night Stretcher seems like not as valuable. You kind of really only want to recycle the Duskull line, but I mean, that's important enough to like warrant at least 2. I think I draw Jamming plus Kangaskhan off of the Kangaskhan, which are 2 blanks, but I can always use them in the future to just kind of, you know, be Ultra Ball fodder. And I'm going to attach Mist Energy to Pidgey. I'm pretty confident my opponent doesn't play like a Devo TM or something, but I'm still able to use that Pidgeot attack potentially later in the game.
We're attacking with it.
Well, I'm just gonna kill it regardless of what down. Okay, put this down.
Alright, moving to my opponent's second turn, they get that copy of Ethan's Adventure, and this is going to get them a ton of pluses here. So Ethan's Adventure is going to be able to search your deck for any copy of Ethan's Pokemon and or a basic energy, up to 3 combination. So I assume this is going to grab like double Quilava, and then maybe a Fire Energy to attack with this Moltres into the Kangaskhan. Again, like I said, extremely good chip here. Looks like Johnny's already going to have the Fire Energy in hand, because he elects to not search for one. And then, yeah, you get double... Bonded by the Journey, and those are going to grab 2 copies of Typhlosion from the deck, or the Ethan's Adventure, to like later grab the Typhlosions out of the deck. So pretty good setup turn here from Johnny. He just kind of wants to set up as many Typhlosions as possible. And yeah, we'll see the Earthen Vessel away at 1 copy of the Ethan's Adventure, so now it puts him to 2. And once he gets to 4 copies in the discard pile, it's pretty scary for me, because he's able to pretty much knock out anything on my board with the combination of 4 Ethans plus the Brave Bengal, which is going to be a 310 swing. One-shots my Kangaskhan, and if he has a copy of Kieran in his deck, which my original list did include a copy of Kieran, apparently I just really like that card. Doing that extra 30 damage is very nice. It just kind of take those unexpected knockouts your opponent isn't planning for. So yeah, we see the 110 here onto the Kangaskhan, which is pretty brutal for me. But now we go into my turn, and my goal this turn is to kind of try to kill as many Quilavas as possible. So yeah, I'm going to start with the Ultra Ball here, and that's going to grab a copy of Pidgeot, which definitely means I have a Rare Candy in my hand. I want to prioritize getting that Pidgeot up as fast as possible. It's going to help me get into all of my combo pieces. And so now I'm going to take a shuffle of my deck, and I'm just probably thinking here, I think I actually have a copy of Ciphermaniacs in my hand. And I think I'm going to slam that. At our local, we're all pretty friendly with each other. It's like the same, like 20-ish, 20 to 30 people. So we're just kind of bantering and yelling at each other like right now. So this exercise takes a little while because we're kind of just all talking to each other. And then one of the other guys came up to me and asking me for a ruling. I'm definitely the longest standing player, like kind of at this local, like me and Colin and like Mo, Ideas. We've been playing for the longest pretty much out of everybody. So whenever there's like ruling questions, they kind of just come up to us and ask. So it can eat into our games. I mean, obviously I never mind. I always want people to kind of have the most information possible. Steel sharpens steel. So the better people you play against, the better you're going to get as a player. And so, yeah, I think like this is about where I get stopped for the ruling. Like, so we'll take a look at what I wanted to get into here. So my goal here is I think I wanted to grab, and I think I needed like Energy plus Evolution plus Prime Catcher, which I wanted that in combination with like Rare Candy Dusknoir, but I think I was 1 combo piece off because I needed 4 cards, but I can only get 3 at the moment with the combination of the Pidgeot plus the Pidgeot plus the knockout with the Mega Lopunny. So I think it's impossible for me to do so. So I think I just kind of accept that that's not going to happen, and I take it as a setup turn. So here I'm just probably going to evolve the Duskull into a Dusclops, and then probably Prime Catcher one of the copies of Quilava just to take that knockout. So let's see what I do here. I think, yeah, I evolve into Dusclops, and then I evolve into Lopunny. Yep. And then I probably just go Jet Prime. And yep, there's the Prime Catcher to bring up one of the copies of Quilava. I mean, there maybe is an argument also to attack with Pidgeot here, because it more than likely will eat a hit. But I know that my opponent has, you know, the Quilava in play, so they have 2 Ethans in the discard pile, and then if they search another one, they'll have 4. If they have anything like an Ultra Ball or like a Fezandipiti or Secret Box, it gets really bad for me.
I have my methods.
Hey man, you got it.
How'd I do that?
I mean, I'm just 1 secret box away.
No, that's insane.
Alright, I took the knockout the Mega Lopunny into the Quilava that I used that Prime Catcher on, and looking into Johnny's next turn, he has an awkward board here where he only has 2 copies of the Typhlosion line in play, and I'm threatening to knock out at least the Cyndaquil with the copy of Dusknoir. So Johnny has an awkward decision to make here. He can either say, okay, well, I can take a 3-prize knockout here onto the Kangaskhan, putting myself down to 3, and then down to 2 after I get Dusknoir, but then I have 0 copies of Typhlosion in play, so then I would have to as from Johnny's perspective, like, oh, I would have to set up a bunch more Cyndaquils while not getting pressured very much by my opponent, which is pretty low odds considering I have Latias, so you can't trap anything. I have Pidgeot to search whatever I want, and then I have Buneary or Lopunny, which if I attach another energy to, can take a one-hit KO knockout on pretty much everything on my opponent's board. So that's a big plus as well. So Johnny's kind of forced here to knock out the Dusclops, which one is pretty bad for him because it's a one prizer, and I'm already up a prize. So if we go to even here, I mean, my turn is probably just to KO his Typhlosion or maybe a Fezandipiti EX if I'm able to disrupt his hand is in combination with that. It would be pretty hard since I already did use the Prime Catcher. If my opponent doesn't go up a prize, I can't go like Counter Catcher Iono, which is a pretty devastating play for this deck, at least like in the mid to the late game. Because sometimes your opponent will kind of like bully your Kangaskhan, like they can kind of just two-shot it. But then you're able to go like, all right, I'm going to Counter Catcher your Fez, Iono, and then just kind of hope that my 330 HP Lopunny just doesn't get KO'd here. So that's another thing to like look out for. So yeah, Johnny's going to go for the Typhlosion here, and I think they're just going to kind of set up for a knockout onto this Dusclops. We'll skip ahead a little bit here.
I hate this play, but I have to do it. Boss Dusclops knockout. I just lose if I don't do that.
I had Red King in my hand, but I want you to think that
I'll run errands first.
Yeah.
Night Stretcher, Duskull.
Yeah.
I just need one.
Ultra Ball, wait, Fan Rotom and Switch. Four in hand?
Yep, four in hand.
why would they do that in Dark Knight
Yeah, I think
So I see a pretty clear prize window here into my opponent's board. So I'm at 5 prizes right now. So I think my goal is if I go KO Fezandipiti and then Dusknoir Moltres, KO Fezandipiti again, I can get game relatively easy here. My opponent doesn't have that big of a hand, and on the following turn, if on the following turn I'm able to Iono my opponent, take another KO, then it's going to be really tough for my opponent to draw any amount of cards. So if they do rip into like Night Stretcher or like Arven, they have to kind of Arven for the Fezandipiti, draw more cards, and that puts the 4th and the 5th prize onto the board for me to get that KO. Putting me down to 3 here is also pretty good, because if my opponent wants to go for like Counter Catcher Kill King to take 3 prizes, they're going to go to 2. I'll be at 3, so I can turn on my own Counter Catcher as well. The worst case scenario here, I think, is if my opponent KOs my Pidgeot, would be at even prize cards, and then I would lose my copy of Pidgeot to be able to search out Jet Energy. So all right, and so then I think I'm just going to take the turn to KO that Fezandipiti, going to Johnny's turn here. He's going to play that Sacred Ash to put 2 copies of Lava and Cyndaquil back into the deck. And then, just as I suspected, he's going to use that copy of Night Stretcher to be able to get back that Fezandipiti to fill his hand back up. Because with a deck like Typhlosion, you do need a lot of like 3 to 4 card combos, because the deck's card economy after the first couple turns aren't super fantastic, just because you have a little very low card cost of just kind of using Ethan for the first couple of turns. But because my opponent has to use an Ethan's Adventure here, not an Iono, I'm going to get to keep like a pretty decent sized hand. I think my hand's like 5 or 6 cards. So it looks like I do have that Ultra Ball in hand and a Jet Energy. So I'll be able to get an attack off with the bench Lopunny, as well as get off a Dusknoir. So on my following turn, I'm kind of just looking to get a Rare Candy or a Boss's Order to kind of finish up the game here to knock out Fezandipiti. My opponent can also, like I said, if they take out the Kangaskhan here to kind of like greedily take prize cards, it is pretty good for me because then I'm able to use the Counter Catcher. So I can kind of see if my opponent wants to play a little bit greedy here. I did tell him after the game, I think his best play was definitely to kill the Pidgeot, because then on my turn, right, he's going to take a 3 prize knockout or 2 prize knockout, go to 2. And then I take a knockout here, go to 2 as well. And then if my opponent gets a Boss's Order, then they just kind of win the game. Because I don't have an Iono in my hand currently. And funnily enough, Johnny does actually rip a Boss's Order off of the prize card from KOing my Kangaskhan here. So then on the following turn, they can just evolve into Ethan's Typhlosion, boss KO Pidgeot or Latias, and then the game is just pretty much over from there. And yeah, he would win the local, but I think because he didn't really think like that far ahead, I think he just kind of wanted to take the prize cards and prize race me. He didn't think about, you know, what is the most valuable piece of my board. And 99% of the time, if you're playing against a deck that has Pidgeot in it, their most valuable card is Pidgeot. And if it's not Pidgeot, it's probably their other Pidgeot they set up. So we see a Zorua from Johnny here to kind of, you know, he's like, okay, well, if I get another turn, I can get a Zoroark into play and kind of draw more cards. I think Johnny actually took out the Pidgeot line from his deck. I know there was a build of Typhlosion I had posted in the past that was playing like 2 Zoroark, like a 2/2 Zoroark and a 1/1 Pidgeot line, which is pretty good. And we actually see that, yeah, the second copy of Typhlosion hits the board here and an energy. So Johnny would have been super set up for the next turn to kind of just win. But yeah, he decided to choose the Kangaskhan here, which I definitely disagree with. I think definitely your best KO there is the Pidgeot, because now I go into my turn and I draw. And like I said, I'm just kind of looking for a Gust plus a out to the Dusknoir. I already have the I already have the Ultra Ball in hand, but I think I just want to see some more cards here. So I'm going to Ultra Ball away a Jet Energy and a Ditto. Because I already have the Jet Energy on the bench Lopunny, all I need to do is retreat into it to be able to take the KO. So then I think I'm looking for Fezandipiti here, but I think did I prize the Fezandipiti this game? I forget if it was this game or one of the rounds I for sure prized Fezandipiti, but I think because I'm looking for it here, this is the game I prized the Fez. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, so I ended up grabbing the Dusknoir there. Let's take a look. And then what is my plan here? So it looks like I go for the Night Stretcher. Yep, I go for Night Stretcher to grab Kangaskhan. And then I think let's see. I retreat into Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is going to go into the active, and then I Codebreaker for the Counter Catcher and the Jet Energy. And then I Jet Energy the Mega Lopunny to the active, Counter Catcher up the copy of Fezandipiti, blow up whatever on his board that's not a Typhlosion, and then take the last KO with the Gale Thrust off of the Lopunny, securing my victory at this local. I think I got 50 credit, and I just kind of saved it because they have Phantasmal ETBs, and I just kind of want one to sit on my shelf forever. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, everything we post in the description down below. Thank you for all the love I've been getting on this deck. And yeah, I think Bunny Box is sick, dude. This deck's so fun to play.